Attendees will join in listening mode, and we ask that everybody display their names correctly. Attendees can then raise the hand if they wish to speak. The chair will call in those who have raised their hands in the order that they are raised. All questions should be directed through the chair. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that other people may be able to see you, and take care not to share screen in your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. So I'm going to call to order the Nantucket Land Bank Commission regular meeting of August 26, 2025. And we'll convene an open session. We have an acceptance of the agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. We'll go to public comment and staff announcements.
I do few staff announcements. First of all, I would like to let the commission know that the Nantucket presented us with a merit award for the creation and maintenance of a restful public place in the heart of downtown waterfront that can be enjoyed by all. It is for the rain garden. Is what this was for. So, and then the next thing I have is just some basic staff announcements. So September is Nantucket Climate Change Awareness Month. And there is a climate change summit that Land Bank staff will have a poster presentation at on September 10th from 4:30 to 7 p.m. And there will also be a social hour at that time with light food and beverages. Drake Harbor Yacht Club. And the summit features speaker Bernadette Woods from Storms to Shorelines, connecting weather, water, and climate change. So that is on September 10th again. Friday, September 12th, Remain is hosting a deconstruction workshop. It's actually Friday, September 12th and Saturday, September 13th. It's deconstruction, adaptive reuse, and the circular economy. And it's a 4-hour course designed to introduce sustainable strategies for deconstruction and material reuse. As you know, we're partnering with them for the deconstruction of the house at 19 East Creek. And so it's an interesting class. If anybody's, anybody who might want to sign up, it's through the community school signups. And then last but definitely not least, the Land Bank's annual Cross Island hike will be Saturday, September 27th at 8 a.m. Mark your calendar, the 27th at 8 a.m. I think the only other thing I'll mention is that we are having some audio issues in the room. Our recordings aren't great, so if everyone could just make an effort to speak up, that would be fantastic. We are working on microphones, but in the meantime, we just want to make sure the audio is as good as possible on the recordings. So thank you. Are there any public announcements?
Does a Cross Island hike leave from the North Sankaty Pool?
This year it is from Quidnet, so it moves a little bit every year next to Sacajah Pond. It always ends in the same spot.
All the way at the end of Quaker Road?
Yes, at the beach, actually.
At the beach end.
We'll be going through windswept overlook and into the restored river, well, not that road, it's restored wetlands, so it's a little change, something new this year, so.
The only other time we've started there was the year that it poured. I don't know if you were actually there.
28 people did it.
It was there. But since not many people came, then it would be a great time to do it again.
Cross your fingers for the one.
Yes, so.
Okay. So we'll go on to golf business. Turn it over to Tom.
All right, guys. Let's go to golf. Scotts Golf. So in July, we've got our rounds down and our covers are down for year to date versus the budget. But the rounds are up over 2024, which is good. So it's basically my comment and Wisconsin are both good news. Go figure because it's July. But revenue is up 19%. Wisconsin cost of goods is up 10%. Gross profit is up over 20% over budget. Payroll and expenses are both down 9%. Income is up for the month of July and year to date. And we're doing better in 2025 than we were in 2024. Wisconsin's doing very well, like it always does, so. I actually played out there on Sunday, brought my son. It's the perfect spot for beginners, for the people who are in between. You guys have done a great job with that piece of property and it's just getting better and better, so. Kudos to you guys for this, but it's doing very well, so those are our numbers for Wisconsin. I hate to say. It's quick and easy, but it is quick and easy up there, so,
Like to hear.
yeah, that's basically all I have to report about that right now.
And we combine capital on the same topic, Wisconsin.
We probably should do
We can do that.
We're at the same time?
it on this concept.
Yeah,
numbers.
so
Pat?
we will. You wanna do that? You want me to do it? Okay. So we discussed capital expenditures at the Golf Capital Work Group yesterday, and we had some recommendations from the capital work group. And for Sconset, that includes reshaping and leveling a single forward tee box at each hole and expanding the irrigation to cover these forward tees with a max cost of $200,000. This will make a huge improvement because basically right now you have a single tee that's well maintained and irrigated, and the second tee right now is a little bit dry and dusty. So there's a lot of opportunity for that to be better, and that's what this would be. The next thing for Sconset is similarly quite important, which is creating an accessible walkway and parking space up to the clubhouse. And there's basically two components, which are the site preparation and the exposed aggregate concrete parking space. The total is approximately going to be about $155,000. And both of these were recommended by the committee, the commissioners, to be approved by the commission as a whole.
You want to vote for all of it or for Sconset and
Let's
then my
just do
comment?
Sconset, and then we can do my comment after. we
Make a
do
motion to approve. Wisconsin.
Second.
Any questions? No?
No, this is what we've discussed before, and we have to do that, Pat. To get into compliance.
We've gotten, I've heard many requests for the first one, so it's getting
Yeah.
addressed. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
And the plan there is, the contractor scheduled the tees for the winter. Is winter
Yeah,
project.
we want everything done and complete by the time we open next year.
And then the ramp same, it's gonna be parking with the ramp, so.
Great, okay, so move on to my comment.
My comment. So the good thing with my comment is we basically made up for our crummy spring, February, March, April, May. We made up for 1 month, so we had a very good July. Better than I could possibly even imagine. We did very well. So my comment, the rounds are slightly down, but the covers are back up again, year to date and way over for the month. The food and beverage side did very well, in July. Total revenue was up 9%, cost of goods is up slightly at 7%, and the gross profit is up to 9%. Now, as of June, we were down 2%, so we've turned it all around. Like I said, we had a very good month. Food and beverage from lunch line has erased the deficit from February. I'm very proud of that operation right now. The all-day menu, we opened a little later, we had a couple little tweaks, it worked. I was a little nervous there at first, things weren't going great, we hit our numbers in June, but we didn't do much else. July, we went way over. We do have our complaints,
So
don't
we
get me
stayed
wrong.
up till 9 p.m. It's supposed to 8 p.m., so we're staying open later.
So it definitely helps. So we have our complaints. It's not like we're not getting complaints, but what we're running into now is that the food and beverage operation is so busy that if something happens and they forget where they booked inside or outside, we can't flip them around anymore. In the past, we would have an open table inside or outside, and now we don't. So what we're running into is if they booked inside and they thought they booked outside, we're running into some complaints that way, but it's nothing that we can't.
Or it's usually they change
Manage.
their mind.
Or they change their mind, it gets a little cold, they wanna go back inside. Past, we've been able to do that, but now we're running into a plane where it's busy. It's a good spot, the prices are right, and it seems to be taking off, so very happy.
The Monday barbecues are doing well outside with the raw bar, so that's been very popular. And the staff's been doing a fantastic job of just being efficient, managing expenses and payroll time. If it is a slow day, a rainy day, we can cut back. And so I think you'll see that reflected in the expense side. So The revenues are doing well, and the expenses, we're minding the, as I say, we might watch the pennies to take care of the dollars, so it's working out well.
Payroll is down 4%, the operating expense is down 11%, and the total expense is down 8% still. So we still watched what we were doing in July, even though we were very busy, everybody paid attention to where their numbers were, so it worked out again. We were trending that way on the expense side anyway, so it shouldn't be a shock, but all in all, we're like reporting good numbers to you guys, so it seems like we've made up for the crummy beginning of the year, and August right now looks like we're gonna hit our numbers also, so that's also good news, so.
And we continue with some of the drought mitigation efforts. We have, you might see it when you're out there sometime, we have people that go out with moisture meters and sense, and test the greens sometimes 3 times a day. So we're not overwatering. We want to make sure that we are as efficient as possible that way.
Yeah, so it's good news. Just always good to report to you guys.
We love a good one.
Yeah, it's good news.
You did very well at so.
Yeah.
That's just it, Don. We've had
Can't count on that always.
that, we had one good month, and you know how it is. If we have a bad string of days,
Right.
it's tough fast.
Are we ready to move on to capital? Yeah.
So for my Comet Golf capital expenditure requests, we have a 28 by 48 Quonset hut storage building to house a loader and some tractors. This is an initiative to keep equipment inside so that it lasts longer. And that was recommended to be approved at $20,000. There is also a pump house repair. My understanding is this is replacement of steel piping
Correct.
to the pump house and within the pump house, which will cost approximately $36,500. This was also recommended for approval. And the last 3 things, the GPS sprayer and GPS sprayer overhaul are on hold for a year because of the timing of the lease and the way, basically the putting in the order works. It's okay if it happens next year and not this year. And then the other thing that was put on hold temporarily, which the commission will come back sooner rather than later, is the improvements to the clubhouse basement. And that was only because there's a little bit more research that needs to be done in that regard.
And one note on the Quonset, so it's not like a traditional corrugated steel Quonset hut like you might envision. It's a canvas fabric. It'll be green. It won't be visible from the road. It'll be back in the interior part of the property where we currently put clippings and brush and excess stuff like that. So we don't have any issues that way.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any other questions? Any questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Easy when it's going well. Yeah.
Great job as always, guys. It's
No.
good to see
Yeah,
you.
Thank you very much. Well, the team out there does a great job.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Let me know.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John.
So we'll take things out of order and, bring it.
Thank you all for taking us out of order. We appreciate that. And thanks for inviting us to come and talk about the master plan. So I don't know how familiar you all are with the master plan. But the first official one was adopted by town meeting in 2009. The only requirement is that it be adopted by the local planning board, because that was an extra step to take it to town meeting. The planning commission also reviewed it at the time, and it was always meant to be a 10 to 20 year plan. So we're at about year 15 right now, so it's a good time to be updating it. The master plan has 9 elements that are required by statute, which is chapter 41, section 81D. And those are goals and objectives, circulation, services and facilities, land use, housing, natural and cultural resources, economic development, open space and recreation, and then implementation. So the old 2009 plan had a chapter for each one of these items, but apparently that's not the modern way of doing the plan. So our new one has different sections that sort of commingles some of these things, as applicable. We've contracted with Barrett Planning Group. Judy Barrett does a lot of work around the island, mostly housing related. I don't know if some of you may know her or interacted with her, but she's a very well-respected consultant in the state. We're about 1 year into the update process. We kicked off with a Strong Towns event at the Nantucket Inn, featuring their president, Chuck Marone. He gave a little talk, and it wasn't ever really meant to be like Nantucket specific. It was really meant to talk about planning and getting ideas and getting people, thinking about how they may want to see Nantucket develop in the future. And I think it was really successful. It was on a cold February night, and we had over 100 people there. So that's a pretty good draw. And I think it did get a lot of conversations started. So that was beginning. Then in April, we had 2 visioning sessions with consultant Dodson and Flinker. They came and moderated the sessions. Neil, you were there. Christina, were you there?
I wasn't
No.
I'm hitting wrong.
It's good, wasn't it?
It was way better than I thought.
It was way better than I thought. I mean, I sort of had low expectations. And it was really good. Like, we had a really great turnout. I really liked the way that they ran the visioning sessions, and I think it was very thought provoking. We got a lot of really good information from that.
They really set it up to engage in conversation, not just kind of talking to people. They set it up with tables and people were bouncing ideas. So I thought it was great.
Yeah, we had maps and we
I actually enjoyed it.
yeah, we had sticky notes. You put what you like, what you don't like. Yeah, it was really, really good.
I
really
concur.
Yeah, so we got a lot of good information from that. Our consultants went to a middle school civics class and talked to the kids to see, what their, vision was for Nantucket and what they liked and what they didn't like and what they would, want to see in the future. And interestingly, that very much aligned with what the adults said too, other than the kids wanted some more, kids activities and things to do at night and on the weekends and that sort of thing. But they had the same concerns about the environment and traffic and water quality and all of those things, which I thought was kind of surprising. We've done a community survey that was really well received. We got about 1,500 responses back, which is a great turnout. I mean, unfortunately, we didn't reach as many communities within our community as we would have liked to with the survey. And we've sort of thought about, how can we do that now? So we're still working on that. So September 11th is our next community engagement event. It's called Tabling, and it's going to be outside of Cape Cod 5, Mid-Island. And the consultants will be there, and they, I think, are just trying to, get people to answer a few questions, as they're doing their business. And I think we're also going to try to do an event with the high school to get more input from that age group.
Kitchen conversations.
Oh, pretty
About
about kitchen
that.
conversations. That was a good one. Yeah, so we had basically like a meeting in a box. And we had people sign up and we gave them everything they needed to have this meeting with directions, and they could invite whoever they wanted to hold the meeting and then give us the information back. And that was, I thought, very innovative. And I didn't participate in one, but it seemed like a fun thing.
Got good feedback.
Yeah, we did.
They were popular.
Yeah.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
I did one. I liked it.
Good.
I didn't learn how to cook.
I'm guessing you didn't cook and host. So right now, we have inventory assessments for each of the sections of the plan. We reviewed those internally, not just the 2 of us, but, other departments, as applicable, have reviewed their sections and provided comments back to the consultant. So we're waiting on sort of a semi-final draft of those to distribute more widely. But I would expect that to come soon. And our current schedule has us wrapping up like by the end of the year, which you all know how projects go, but they don't always stay right on schedule, but that's sort of where we are.
Where it's called a master plan, you're looking for things like traffic, infrastructure issues and all that sort of thing. With all the traffic this summer, I'm just wondering, do you have any sort of idea of how to handle that? Just on that one, I have some other questions about.
Well, the master plan isn't getting into, which this is an update to the other one. It's not getting into like super specific recommendations. Yeah.
Okay.
And we have, you know, at the planning commission level, we talk a lot about transportation improvements and pedestrian improvements. And we have, you know, the long range transportation plan already, which is going to be incorporated into this. We have the TIP that has projects on it. That's kind of covered already.
So all
In this
these other
particular-
plans are sort of coalescing into the master plan.
Yes, and the master plan by statute is to develop a plan for the long-term land use of the island.
Yeah.
The physical infrastructure.
I have a question. At the end of the day, when you know, next year, and you come up with a conclusion, how is it implemented, or just hopefully doesn't just end up on a shelf somewhere gathering dust?
I hope not, no.
I
Our
mean,
other one
who's in
hasn't.
charge?
I mean,
Who's in charge? Does it go to the select board? Does it go to the planning board?
so in the implementation section, at least in the current plan, it identifies, you know, who has to implement the various pieces. So I would anticipate the same with this one.
And I would add too, at least the land use section is tied a lot to future zoning changes. So currently, as a part of, I think it's in the end of the warrant, isn't it? The report, or is it?
Oh,
just a
yeah, we have the
document?
chart.
But in any event, staff and the planning board tie all of their sponsored proposed changes to specific sections in the master plan. So it is all tied together and really referenced.
So
all the
it's
time.
sort of used as a guide
Yes.
when we think of the dump, for instance, or something like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and in this version of the plan, the town manager was really vocal with all of the department heads, at least. I don't know about the various boards and committees and commissions, but she was really vocal with the department heads saying that, you know, this is a plan for everyone. It's not the planning board's plan. The planning board's responsible by statute, but it's the town's plan. And it is supposed to incorporate all of the various plans and tie it all together.
Recently, the planning board came out with a proposal to address I believe it was for affordable housing or just housing in general. But their recommendation was for 6,800 new dwelling units in order to meet the current need. And I'm just wondering, you know, when you think about 6,800 dwelling units, how many cars is that? How many more kids in school? How many more, you know, we're gonna need a new Stop and Shop? Or, you know, are those all things that are in consideration with those numbers?
Well, the planning board didn't recommend thousands of more dwelling units. I think what you're referring to is the build out study, which was commissioned by the planning commission. And so the consultants were looking at existing zoning, an existing built environment to see how many more dwelling units could theoretically be added under existing conditions. They looked at septic, looked at Concom, they factored in sea level rise. So that's where that range of numbers came from. It wasn't a recommendation to build those, but it was saying if you just move forward just like today and population increases at the rate it's been increasing, this is how many more units you would need.
Well, as the planning department, though, I mean, you've got to be concerned about the population. And how do you handle that many people? I mean, and I'm just wondering how that's incorporated into these, you know, the plans.
Well, for example, with traffic, because everybody likes to talk about traffic, especially in Old South Road. We are working on a little project right now. It's outside of the master plan, but will work its way in, I think, somehow. I've asked Mike Burns to go back to the year 2000. I just thought that was a good starting point. And look at all transportation and pedestrian related improvements that had to go to town meeting for a vote to report, like, what was the vote at town meeting? Did it have to be on the ballot for funding? What was the vote at the ballot? And then what actually happened. And I think that's very telling that, you know, the planning department through the planning commission proposes a lot of things, but we can't implement them. So, you know, there's a lot of ideas and things that are floated, but if the voters don't vote at town meeting, and then if they don't vote at the ballot, you know, they kind of down the line, if you will.
Yeah.
So did I understand by the end of the year you feel, or will that be the first draft or the kind of the?
Our current timeline is, I think, to wrap up by the end of the year, but I have a feeling we may extend that because you know, it's already September and we want to make sure that we have a robust, you know, public comment period and plenty of time for review. And I think it's important that we not rush that.
And then there's all the area plans that are included, correct?
Yeah, they're included somewhat by reference, just like all the other plans in the town. And then at the end of each of the inventory assessment sections, it has the recommendations from all of the area plans. So those are clearly included. Just the plan in its entirety is not cut and pasted.
So it sounds like there are so many inputs that need to be coordinated and so on, and this ultimately results in decisions that the select board will make, or the town meeting will make in terms of how many more roads we need, how many more, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Would there be any more, the 2-day thing you did at the high school? I find that fascinating. I was sort of reluctant to go, to be honest, but once I went there, it was amazing, the reactions from different people in the community, and we had a huge variety at the table. Who knew deer were one of the biggest things? For me, it was water. If there's anything like that coming up, I would definitely go again.
And, you know, we've expanded the public outreach several times throughout the process. And it may be something that the planning board wants to do again.
I thought it was fascinating. I mean, I really did. I mean, it's like, it was real. It was people, you know, had their own agendas and everything, but it was fascinating to talk through it.
Yeah, it was really great. And we had a lady at the very end that basically said, I came in here with like, you know, bad attitude, and now I see like hope and this is exciting, and I'm with all these people and heard different points of views, and it was really, you know, nice to hear.
I thought you did a really good job with that.
Any other questions?
Just one brief one. Thing that's taking place outside of Cape Cod Bank, what's that format?
Tabling?
Is that
So it's
thing?
called tabling. It's kind of just like an informal little interview.
So people just walk up and it's gonna be one-on-one, somebody behind a table?
So I think that the point is we tried to find a place with public access that serves all demographics throughout the island, mostly the local population, where you could just sporadically ask, hey, do you have 30 seconds? Can we ask you a few questions? That sort of thing.
We wanted to do it at the post office in Mid-Island. We thought that would get a lot of foot traffic, but there's a lot of red tape and dealing with the post office and not so much dealing with Cape Cod 5. So we decided that was the next best thing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Oh,
for
thanks for having us.
So nice to have
Thank
like
you
the
so
different
much.
groups crisscrossing and
Yeah.
presentations.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Great to
it.
be here.
I was watching on television.
Yeah, I'll rewatch it. I'll relive this moment.
Thank you. Just for the record, I don't know who you are. Did you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Mike Levitt. I'm here with the Deer Management Project.
Oh, perfect. Oh,
Mike Reitman.
excellent.
And for the record, I don't know who the person who's sitting next to Leslie was.
Megan
Megan
Trudeau.
Trudeau.
Deputy.
Yeah.
Deputy. And then they probably should do something. Okay, so as we're going straight. You guys, you want to come join us?
Yeah, would you mind coming to join us? Okay, so I have my marching orders tonight because I actually have definitely not been as involved in these conversations as Emily and some of the other people in our office have been. But This is a very exciting topic and it's definitely getting up and moving, which is thrilling. This is really about deer livestock processing update. And correct me if I'm wrong, is it Mike and Michael or Michael and Michael?
Mike and Michael.
Mike and Michael, right?
That's how we keep ourselves straight.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure, right? So they have come this evening because they've been integral in this process from the get-go. They've been interested in this for some time now before the land bank sort of started to engage. So I'm going to present just a little bit of information about what Emily has asked me to ask. And or talk about, but specifically what I guess I'm looking for is approvals on and support from the commission to move forward. Like I said, this is moving a little bit quickly right now, and I just want to make sure everyone feels like they're up to speed. So right now, what the land bank staff have been doing in regards to deer and livestock processing, but really we're talking about deer now, is actively exploring commercial kitchens to use for the winter and to house a share the harvest processing operation. We haven't been entirely successful, so we've asked some people and they've said no, thank you. But we're going to continue asking because we're those people. And then the next update is that Martin Feehan, who is the deer biologist for the state, will be coming to the 9/9 meeting. And this was really specific to the land bank because Emily and Isaac are exploring how to file for a deer damage permit and what that involves, which would allow a greater number of deer to be taken in a specific area on land bank property. And so he will be here at the commission meeting on 9/9 discussing what deer damage permits are and how they operate and how they've worked in the past. So that's something that we'll be talking about at our next meeting. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up, and then I would love these guys to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what they've done, is Emily's hoping to have approval from the commission to move forward in partnership with NCF, Nourish Nantucket, and Act Deer, and to basically move forward to create a loose group on deer hunting, control, processing, and outreach and education, exploration. And if we do find a kitchen, oh, Emily has her hand raised. Okay, Emily, can I get to you in 1 second? Should I let you now? I'll let her talk now. Let's see. Hi, can you talk, Emily?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I didn't mean to wreck your flow, Rachel, but I'll jump in after you're finished, okay?
Okay, yeah, no problem at all. And then I think the last thing is, then we'll circle back to this is that we're going to be asking if we do find a suitable location, if we can engage a contractor to help us manage deer processing this winter. But we need a suitable location first. So that's kind of a quick and dirty summary of where we're at in this process of exploring deer harvesting and processing facilities. And then I would love these two gentlemen to provide a little bit of information about how you got involved, what you've done this far, because you've done a lot of background research, and really they're the ones who I have to give a lot of credit to for getting this process started. So.
Thank you. Just a kind of a quick summary. We shared our most recent deck with Rachel, and I'm sure she can share that with all of you. But we are a loose group of island residents that sitting around a dinner table one night said, why isn't anybody doing anything about these deer that everybody has been talking about at every dinner conversation? And as we did some research, we found out that there was some false starts over the past 10 or 15 years. We tried to figure out why those weren't successful, and how we could put together a successful program to reduce the deer herd. And at the time we were doing this, we discovered some pretty incredible numbers that the present herd is over 10,000 deer. At the rate it keeps growing, it will soon be 12 to 15,000 deer. And we all know what effects that has on everything from the ecology to the economy to other sorts of damage. And some people were a little bit squeamish about taking out deer. And we got together with some of the food insecurity folks who had told us about a program that the state had started called Share the Harvest, where they were taking deer, processing it into venison, and distributing it to the food insecure. Last year in Nantucket, it only put through about 45 deer. And the total number of deer taken on Nantucket was 871. And to get you to the long version, or the short end of our long story, we have a goal this year of upping the deer take to about 2,000 deer, which would create 75,000 meals. It would do a tremendous job on taking care of the food insecure and would start to chip away at the problem here. Getting from here to there has a number of different components. They sort of fall into three categories. One is sort of the collection and input to the factory. You have to take more deer. That involves using island hunters and off-island hunters and getting them to contribute them to this program. The second part that Rachel started to talk about is processing. The island needs a processing facility. Last year it was being done basically at somebody's kitchen sink. And the distribution part, I think there's a very good food insecurity group that's come together on the island called Nourish Nantucket. And then sort of overlaying all of this is sort of the program support of the community outreach to get everybody on board, doing everything from developing a Nantucket hunt-friendly program. So the off-island hunters that come on understand the way to operate and to play nice on island. It includes some details like one of the big objections we heard was hunters leaving gut piles around. And that's because traditionally when hunters are trained, you leave gut piles in the field and the scavengers take them. Well, Nantucket doesn't have any scavengers. So we're proposing that we're putting together a program of distributing heavy-duty plastic bags to put in the gut piles, print on the outside of them the Nantucket hunt-friendly code of conduct, and we'll set up multiple locations for them to drop it off. So we'll make it easy for them. Because what we really want them to do is take a deer, drop off the remains, and go back out for another one. Instead of having to go to a check-in station, go to the landfill, we want to help make them as productive as possible. Another one of our strategies is to bring together as many constituencies on the island as we can. So it includes the conservation groups like yourself, other nonprofits, various aspects of town government. We, like you, want to operate outside of the official government, so we don't necessarily have that regulatory and government drag on us. But everybody that we've talked to at the government level has been very supportive of that approach and has offered us all sorts of assistance. That's sort of where we are. There are a lot more details and I could talk all evening, but Rachel asked for the elevator pitch.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic. Emily, did you want to jump in?
Yes, I wanted to thank Mark for bringing Mike and Michael into us several weeks ago and really getting the land bank staff's interest back on this issue. So credit to you, Mark, for bringing these two in. And also, I think Rachel, as well as Mike and Michael, gave a great introduction to the subject. You heard from me a couple weeks ago with my introduction. And I just wanted to reiterate that if you have any questions that you want me to send to Martin Feehan, the state deer biologist, before he comes to speak with you on Zoom on the meeting of the 9th, then please send them to me ahead of time and I can filter those into Martin and he'll be sure to address them during the meeting on the 9th.
Emily, can I ask that you do something in regards to that?
Sure.
Would you to send the commission a Cliff Notes version of what he's going to talk about, particularly deer damage permits, so that they could brainstorm questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody familiar with the DDP, deer damage permit?
Probably not as much as the next
wanna
week
get
is
the
gonna be more
quick-
information, maybe.
Yeah,
brushed up on
we're
it.
on the same page. I was gonna jump in very quickly. A deer damage permit allows deer to be taken year round, except during hunting season. And it is not hunting because hunting carries a number of regulatory laws. But if you are taking deer, you are allowed to bait, you are allowed to hunt at night. You are allowed to be a lot more efficient with taking the deer. The deer damage permits are issued by Mass Wildlife, by Martin Fan, who you're going to meet. They have to do a study that the deer is causing agricultural or ecological damage on a specific piece of land. And two other very important parts of it. Whoever gets the deer damage permit, such as the land bank, has to specifically list sub-permittees, those people that are taking the deer or doing the hunting. So you don't have people running wild in that area, but it's very highly controlled. And then the second piece of it, all the deer that's taken must be contributed to the Share the Harvest program. So it is a way to extend the season, make it much more efficient. And one part of the deer processing program that we have is to, in the processing, to have cool storage. So when the deer are taken in, they can be stored until they're processed. And then frozen storage. So after they're processed, you can distribute the venison year round, not just during hunting season.
Are those permits actually being given out in other counties in Massachusetts presently?
I think Martin can update you on that.
I think there was
And
one.
I asked him about that specifically, so I think it's great. It's an opportunity that will be very interesting to work with them on. I think, you know, starting slow and really thinking it through is incredibly important. So, but he's been very thoughtful in the process.
So will your group be meeting with him prior to or at our meeting or post?
Well, in the past 24 hours, we only had 2 or 3 emails. We're thoroughly engaged with him. But that he should be directly engaging with you. He's incredibly knowledgeable and he's taken quite an interest in Nantucket. He's responsible for the whole state. But he's physically been down here a number of times. He knows that Nantucket is different from the other wildlife zones in Massachusetts. And he was critical in a recent regulatory change, which added a January hunting season for just Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. It's an archery only season, but he recognizes that there's some very unique problems here. For instance, one of them is for deer, there are no natural predators on Nantucket. Normally they're bear, coyote, mountain lion. It had been suggested that an alternative to control the deer problem would be to introduce coyotes. Now, we may lose a few Yorkies along the way, but you might take care of the deer. But, yes, but that's not a program that we're endorsing.
And just to give you a number, basically statewide, there are 15 deer on average per square mile. And on Nantucket, it's at least 10 times as much.
I think one of the things that I do want to mention though, because, you know, we've had this discussion, one of the things that we really need to do at the land bank is we need to do a ton of outreach to the existing house hunting community. Because there's people who have been hunting for decades and, you know, have their spots and have their world. And we want to make very sure that we're working with them and not, you know, compromising anything that they're doing. So that's a big part of for us is really being respectful.
Hopefully they would be embracing it.
Well,
They're hunters.
I did just want to bring that up, because I'm quite familiar with the hunting community and, so I think your ideas are great but I do agree that the outreach, you know, hunters and you can't classify anything, but I think that there's it's a large stretch to get them. They go out for, you know, there's an art, a style, a sport, you know, they practice. It's something to them. They're not always out there just to process meat. So it's a different thinking process for them and bringing them up to speed. The idea of the bags are great. That is one of the problems, one of the complaints about hunters and the conflict between hunters and non-hunters. But getting hunters to do that and getting it easy for them and having it easy for where they bring the deer, all of those, I think that engaging the hunters and really talking to them directly is the key, because because we as a collective may want to have 2,000 deer, but there might not be that kind of support with the hunting community. Especially if you're going into their areas. I mean, they spend months getting prepared certain areas and, cutting lines and keeping, there's just there's a lot more to it than, so hopefully we can embrace the hunters and not come at it with like, hey, we want meat for the food pantry. And they're like, yeah, this is our world.
So that's, it's one of the very important conversations that we need to initiate, and we had talked about it this weekend. That was something we felt like the land bank could really work on, and because we do have property management crew that know everybody who's hunting everywhere, and reaching out and starting to have conversations with people.
I think we had limited outreach, and so far it was positive. So basically, right now, everybody fills their freezer and then stops, kind of. And there would be the willingness to go beyond their own freezer and help to provide venison to the food insecure. So I think there is the willingness, but we haven't talked to enough hunters. Absolutely, I think. And if you guys could help there, because we had various outreach, but they weren't too successful yet.
I'm really supportive of what you're trying to do, and growing up in a different country, deer are in Scotland, deer are managed. These big estates, that's what you have to do to keep the herd healthy. The one thing I'd be careful of is encouraging many off-island to come here. People still remember the last time they came, and it wasn't a positive experience.
We're continually reminded of that, and as, no, I'm glad you bring it up, because it very much informed our plan for our code of conduct that we're trying to enforce. Very frankly, to follow up on what Michael said, we have been trying for a year to engage with local hunters. And we were warned when we started that there's no central group that represents all of the hunters. And we've tried to reach out to them individually because we want to bring them in and get their feelings, and they seem to be resisting us. So if you have access to them, that would be terrific, because we want to hear what they want. One of the things, another thing I want to follow up on what you had said about the hunters being out there and shooting and processing meat. One of our concepts on the processing facility is to provide what we're calling a concierge service, where a lot of the hunters just want the backstrap. And we would offer to process the deer, give them back their backstrap, and then we keep the rest of the deer to put into the Share the Harvest program. It again makes them more efficient. If it's an on-island hunter, it's right here for them. If it's an off-island hunter, they don't have to schlep 3 deer back in their truck, but they can take some more deer and get the backstraps.
And I think priority number one, on island hunters. Try to engage as much as possible in order to increase the yield and the input for Share the Harvest. I think that's our priority. Absolutely.
I mean, the deer problem is a Nantucket problem. It affects everybody on island. The food insecurity on Nantucket is a Nantucket problem. We would like to see islanders helping islanders. But if they don't have the capacity to do it, I think we then have to look at bringing in off-islanders, and there are going to be some here anyways, and we just want to find a way that they can play well together.
Have you reached out to the Hunting Association?
Yeah. We basically had somebody, when we had a kind of smaller focus group, we had somebody join, and for the last 4 weeks, we're trying to reach somebody there.
Is it Steve Holgate? Yeah.
And Homer Ray.
Yeah, and Ted Chiletti, he was actually part of one of the groups we talked to, but we hadn't reached the larger Nantucket Hunting Association yet. And we are still trying, so
And
hopefully it
and
happens.
we're hitting a critical time. Hunting starts in 3 weeks.
Right, and so we don't know if we'll be able to do this deer damage permit. Again, it's outside of hunting season.
Yeah.
So, but we don't know if we'll be able to accomplish it this year, but we'll see. You know, if it doesn't feel right yet, or, I mean, this is us, not you,
Yeah.
but the land bank, you know, if it doesn't feel right for us and we don't have hunter support, you know, we don't need to force something down somebody's throat. We have the opportunity to sit back and do more outreach and, you know, work it through. So.
But if you can facilitate conversations with more hunters, we welcome it.
We will be there.
Have you talked to NCF though?
So this is a combination between partnership with NCF, Nourish Nantucket, and Actier, which is, are you guys Actier?
Yeah, we've been calling ourselves the Act Deer Management Project, so,
Okay, I
and
wasn't 100%
and
sure that it was-
actdeer.org is us, yes.
I think I just wanted to clarify that.
Will the director be coming down to speak about land bank properties specific?
Martin Feehan has been working with Emily, and Emily's been working with Martin Feehan to talk specifically about a deer damage permit on land bank property. Yes.
Are you kidding? To allow hunting on our property, on our land bank properties?
Yeah.
It happens already.
We don't permit hunting on our properties. I mean, yes, it happens. You get hunters who come and all that sort of thing. Michael, you mentioned some sort of special permit for the off-island people to sort of come over. Can you give it a little more detail as to what you implied by that?
I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. The deer damage permit, if the land bank were to obtain one for any one of their properties, once you obtain the permit, you have to specifically list the sub-permittees, who would be the hunters, whether they're on island or off island. So if you open this land,
It's like the foundation does. Yeah, they open one of their properties.
right,
But you
but
basically determine who will be part of that deer damage permit, because you have to list the names of the people who actually participate in the program. And so you have a lot of control.
And I think Martin is going to talk about that as our next.
Yes.
We only have a couple of properties that don't allow hunting.
Well, my understanding was that hunting is not allowed on land bank property, correct? Is that, or am I mistaken?
Yeah.
Yeah, hunting's allowed on land bank property. We have a
Well,
couple
I
of
mean,
places.
I'm sorry.
downtown, of course.
We have a couple of places that are close, like Mizzen Mast. There's a section of the Mizzen Mast Trail that's close to hunting. There's a
Well, but
section.
we've always done that on a specific basis for a specific reason. The Mizzen Mast one, there are a couple of other small areas. I'm concerned. I don't want to think our properties are going to be opened up for hunting during hunting season or any other time of year. You know, that just doesn't.
But I've always led to believe that people have asked me, and I've checked with staff, and every land bank property is open for legal deer hunting, except Mizzen Mast. There's a bit off Millbrook. Somebody tried to stop it but I mean, one of the things I've learned, there's a real problem here. It's changing the ecology of the island. There's the disease factor, tick, yet another tick disease that seems to have enjoyed coming to Nantucket. I mean, we have to do something, and it has to be controlled. I'm not going to vote for it if I'm not comfortable, but I might mention it at the Admiralty Club next week to a couple of the Homer Ray there.
That would be incredibly helpful.
And just
Seeing what they think.
see what they think. I mean, especially if it's going to be legal, it's going to be managed. But if we don't manage the population,
Well, yeah, but look what happened the last time they allowed off-islanders to come down here. It was a total crap show. I mean, it was totally out of control. There were people all over the island and with guns and guns going off here and there.
I think that was a special situation because it was basically the only time, or let's say, Nantucket was the only location where you were
Yeah,
allowed to
I
hunt
know.
during that month. And that, of course,
That was here
attracted,
during that time, and
Yes.
unfortunately, you know,
and I think that's what you have to manage. I think these are the lessons learned.
Go over it a bit more and before next meeting.
Right.
And bring it up to speed, but it definitely will be controlled, like this group will be able to pick who the hunters are, what hunters are allowed.
I say, and there's gonna be somebody out there monitoring all this.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
So you'll be able to get a permit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So that's
We
the
had
difference.
comments last time.
but that's the difference between what we're trying to accomplish here, is that it will be a different type of permit, it won't be open to the public, it will be a private per se, pre-authorized situation. But there's two different things that we're talking about. That's a damage permit. What these guys are here to do is just to educate and promote and try to have the existing hunters do more hunting to provide food to the Nantucket Nourish and also educate and have a hunter friendly, which it would be great with the deer guts being picked up and not left in the woods and trying to get a more cohesive between the hunters and the non-hunters so that the hunters can hunt more, so they can take more of the deer to help with the population.
I understand the concept.
Yeah.
I don't. Anyway, I have some reservations as to, anyway, good luck to you.
Thank you.
I dealt with the hunting association over years on maybe on other issues, so lots of luck.
Well, thank you
If you
so
have an
much.
entrance to the hunting association, help us.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, Emily.
Thanks, Emily.
I think
Thank you.
before, I just want to make sure, just to close this out, that the commission is supportive of what and, I think we're probably not ready to ask about engaging a contractor yet, but I think it's really about knowing that this collaboration is existing and that we're moving forward and looking for a potential place to process deer this winter. if
Make that
possible.
motion.
I second that motion.
What's the motion? To
Explore.
oh, yeah, to explore what's going on.
And to create a collaboration with these three groups. So it will be the Land Bank, the Nantucket Conservation Foundation, and this group here, Act Deer, to look into ways of increasing the production and also getting the processing center back here. There has been that program has been on an island for a couple of years. They just haven't been very successful.
Yes. I know.
And isn't there four groups?
And Nourishment
Right.
Nantucket is getting a lot of traction right now, rightly so.
And they're very involved in the food insecurity end of it, right? So you can see how everyone plays into it. NCF and Land Bank own large tracts of land that have deer overpopulation. Act Deer, these guys really brought this to us, and have had a huge amount of, they've just put a huge amount of work into figuring out what they think might.
The only thing that I would recommend, I think it's great, and I think that these four groups need to get together, but you have one major missing component, which is the hunters. And I understand that the hunting association is difficult to work with sometimes, or they're maybe not at the table, but I think, I will do my best to try to get one of them to be here at the table. I think the hunting, I think that we could probably put together a focus group, with the right people involved.
Yep.
We could get, we could all collectively, hunters, I know hunters,
I
like,
totally agree.
and I think that it, maybe not a meeting like this, but
Right.
maybe it's at the Admiralty or Amherst
Yeah.
or something like that. Because I think without them, they're just gonna feel,
You're completely right.
they're gonna feel,
Sidelined. Yep,
Yeah, you know, I
from the
mean,
get-go.
if any of this is gonna happen, they're the driving force.
It's totally, you're totally right.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table, we have a second. Any more questions? It's just to move forward with collaborating with these groups and trying to, make something happen.
I'm ready to vote, but in fact, I'll go first.
Okay.
No. I vote no, mainly because, first of all, the idea of going out and killing livestock, okay? That's something that is I find difficult, it's so difficult for me to understand how people can do that. I do understand about hunting and all that sort of thing, but I'm definitely a no vote. Anything that encourages people bring their guns to Nantucket or extending the season for guns out on conservation properties. I mean, I hate being out there during hunting season. I don't go out on the woods during hunting season anywhere, even on the posted properties, because you hear the gunshots going off and it's just, anyway. So that's my vote.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Completely.
My vote is yes. I've got a small piece of property with about 100 deer on it. I can't even have a garden, you know, they get over your fence and I don't care how high it is. So I'm definitely in favor of it.
I'm gonna be voting in favor of this, but I do want to say that when they came for the presentation, it was nice that they had already gone to Nourish Nantucket, and those people were all at the table that day and very supportive. So just wanted to make everybody aware that they have a lot of support behind them.
I'm going to vote yes too, because this is, it's cruel not to manage the deer population. We don't have any deer diseases like the wasting disease that desolates many communities. I mean, a lot of people actually feed themselves on Nantucket with deer, with venison, and I feel we need to do something. And it was one of the things that came up in that meeting I was rather dreading, that people want us to do something about the deer if we can. And we're in a position to do something and have a manageable herd and feed our less well off. So I'm yes.
And I, as chair, vote yes. I respectfully, we have difference of opinion. We've discussed it and that's fine. I support hunting because for feeding people and managing the herd. And I think that it will be accepted. So we have a 4-1 and we'll move forward with that.
Thank you very much, and we will make sure to bring in the hunters, and we would love to have your assistance with that as well, so. Thank you.
I might ask somebody to, or we'll talk about it at the
Yeah.
Rotary Club with
Let's do
your
it.
permission. Place is got quite a lot of hunters.
And I might be interested in the next meeting with the city biologist.
Yeah.
Yeah, the deer biologist, Martin.
Yeah, I mean, then there's going to be some real facts on the ground.
They could, if they want to ask questions, that would be great, because they might have different questions too, that we wouldn't I wouldn't necessarily come up with, so that would be fantastic.
Opening the door to having 35 participants, trying questions and.
We might.
I think it's good, and, you know, I would have a question, can we control it, like times that they can hunt, or only bows at this time, or whatever, if we have a permit, like, good question. Good to know, making decisions and apply for something.
Thank you.
Thank you. Property management. Park design.
Okay, so we have Brian Kuchar and Ellen Biegert here. But first I am going to demote Emily. Sorry, Emily. And I will promote Brian and Ellen, and is there anyone else here? Nope, I think that's it. So Brian and Ellen, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I certainly can. What presentation would you like me to start with?
Okay.
Do we want to share the screen, Ellen?
If we're able to.
Yeah,
Yep, I could give you permission if that's easier. Okay.
yeah,
no
I think
problem.
that probably would be easier.
Yep.
Is
And
the
I'm
H
assuming everyone, you can all hear us.
Yep, we can all hear you. So this is Horsley Witten,
Okay.
who is here to speak to us. I just want to make sure I'm picking the right thing. Who is here to speak to us and review the current state of the bike park plans and the project bike park. So we've gotten to a final draft final design and an estimated budget as well. And the commission will be presented that information and for you to review it. Does that sound good? Ellen, are you having?
Yeah, I don't see an option to share still.
Let me try over here.
Promote to panelists, so yeah.
She is a panelist, otherwise she wouldn't be able to.
No, you give her permission to talk.
Well, while we're sorting this out, just to give everyone sort of an update of where we're at. We've been going back and forth between Natural Heritage, trying to find the best location as it relates to the plant communities out on this particular site, then working obviously with the land bank staff and reviewing concepts and where some of these features would be located. What we'd like to do is, after a meeting with you all and getting your feedback, we would then go back to the bike park committee and present the concept that Ellen's going to be showing you today. And then eventually meeting with the public. But this is a culmination of addressing the comments we've heard from both your bike park committee and the Natural Heritage, as well as land bank staff. And then if you recall the last meeting that we presented and provided an update for you. So I think Ellen can kind of walk you through all of that. And it looks like we have access. I think I saw something.
Yeah.
So much. Perfect.
Okay, so everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little small.
I can zoom in as we need to more. But this first image that I have on the screen is I'm just going to do a brief recap of how we got to here. If anyone needs like just to move back a little bit further to how we got before this, then it's fine. But what I have up on please let me know and speak up. What I have on the screen right now is what I believe was the last concepts that all of you saw. So this was a reaction to a meeting where we wanted to bring amenities closer to the front of the site for safer access, as well as come up with an option for phasing. So if there's a phase 1 and a phase 2. So I believe this was the last thing that was presented. So from here, what we did, because when we were initially doing the site analysis, we were focused on the middle of the site where there was a lot of disturbance. And this front area, which was kind of the 150-foot buffer, we didn't do a more in-depth analysis of. So the first thing that we did in relationship to Natural Heritage was look at what plant communities were out here, since all of the, a lot of the proposed items are now going to be a lot closer to the road. So here, just zooming in a little bit further, Emily and some others went out to the site and verified where there's a lot of the scrub oak, which is a community that Natural Heritage is very interested in protecting. As you can see, the largest area of the scrub oak in this front area is in the spot that we had been proposing bike park elements before. So after going through that with Natural Heritage, we come up with the other design that still keeps things towards the front, but shifts everything over to the area that could potentially have less impact on that scrub oak species. From there, we went back out to the site, got a little more information to verify on the ground how these elements would fit, since originally when we had been looking at the site interior, it was disturbed. And from this kind of bubble diagram that we've been looking at is where we've developed the concept further, which is mainly the items that were or sent to you before this, but I just wanted to go over this little recap for how we got to this location from what you saw last to now.
Yeah, and I would just add that while Ellen went out there and vetted sort of the areas as it relates to the actual conditions on the site, we also did a little preliminary flagging of the limit of disturbance, which is highlighted by this red dashed line here on the plan. So if anyone wanted to go out, it's not every 10 feet, so there's going to be some interpretation, but you should be able to see flags that would delineate the area that we're proposing to be working in for the bike park.
That I can see Milestone Road instead of the text.
Okay,
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
I can actually put that up there.
So there's one entrance on the Milestone Road. This isn't cars backing out on a Milestone Road, is it?
No, so
What is the southerly north-south entrance there, the short one?
So right now we have two options for the entrance. One that, and this is reflected in the more updated concept as well. One option that comes over and connects to the existing Barnard Valley Road entrance. This would take some improvements to Barnard Valley, definitely looking at that intersection because it currently comes in at an angle, but it would mean that we're not creating another entrance onto Milestone Road. The other option was potentially creating the entrance off of Milestone Road. This one obviously is another entrance connecting to this. Might take a little bit more, but you would have a lot less disturbance coming over here and connecting to Barnard Valley Road. So right now we're still showing both options. We're assuming that we'll be selecting one and then moving that one forward at some point for these two.
Right, and I think it does accomplish a lot of the goals or the comments that we received during the last meeting, kind of pulling it still closer to the road, not going so far into the site. I think that helps with security and maintenance as well. But because of our discussions and review with Natural Heritage, we had to shift this further to the west of the site.
Ellen, can I ask a question about scrub oaks being protected? They cover about 60 or 70% of the island. And I don't quite understand why they are such a favorite of National Heritage.
It's not that they're entirely protected. We will be affecting some pockets of them. They wanted to see larger swaths of them protected, and then especially how this is connected to some of the other undisturbed communities in this area, which is why they were favoring the east. So it's these larger pockets that are related to the moths and some other species here that tend to use
Yeah.
scrub oak, and then was really interested in the larger pocket over here and how it connects to this zone where you see the green, purple, blue, which is sassafras, and I forget what the other ones are right now, but how this can kind of create a continuous zone of these better habitat pockets also.
Yeah, it really had to do with the habitat issue. And then if you go back, Ellen, just to the earlier image that shows, yeah, even this one, you can kind of see how it's very fragmented in this corner versus a more concentrated, consistent plant community. And that was their comment. If we could try to accommodate that and protect that area that has these different diversity of species and make that contiguous versus kind of working in that space.
Can I just add one more comment? I'm completely in favor of coming off Barnard Valley Road. It's already a road. It's got good visibility. I'm very familiar with the area, rather than adding another driveway on a very busy road in the summer.
Okay. I also to go with the flagging, the most visible flags out on the site right now is there are 2 flags at this location and 2 flags on Barnard so that you could see if you wanted to where these would be coming out as well.
And then, so this entry and the parking lot are not visible from Milestone Road?
With the thick vegetation, so are you talking about this entry right here?
Oh, I'm talking about going along Milestone Road. If I was driving on Milestone Road, will I be looking at the parking lot or would it be
This is about a 50-foot offset from the edge of the property. It would definitely take, and what we have called out is for some vegetation thinning right now. So it is very thick, so you can't see in very far. So if safety was the concern for the parking lot, there would have to be some thinning in this front area, which would occur.
But without that, there would be 50 feet of the existing vegetation that you currently see out there.
Okay, good, because I would think that they want that shielded.
Yeah, it's very like it's very thick. So like if you don't want to kind of do that thinning to be able to see in, then it's pretty hidden. Let me just zoom out. So this is rotated a little bit, but Milestone's still here, Barnard Road. So as I mentioned before, one thing that's happening with this project is phase 1, phase 2. We've been developing phase 1 a little bit further, but we're trying to think of the site as a whole for phase 2. So that when we go into permitting with natural heritage, we could define this outside boundary so that if you decide you want to include other things like the potential jump line later on, or even expanding the trail network, that it's all included under that permit, and it's defined at this point. So as we've been developing this, focusing on the front area, we've still been considering how we can be fitting things in and connecting them for phase 2. So this red dotted line around the outside, which extends almost to where that disturbance area is, would be approximately 5 acres of disturbance, which is what we would be allowed under the permit. So this would include this phase 1, which is highlighted in purple, which I could flip to the more detailed area shortly, and then phase 2, which is not highlighted, has these dashed brown as potential trail locations, but could be refined further, and then a larger potential jump line feature if that's what you decide you want to do after, say, implementing phase 1 or anything like that for a little while. It also connects out to some of the existing trail networks. So when we were out on site, we just made sure we took a good inventory of some of the existing trails that are currently on site so that it's recorded with natural heritage as well, so that those can be maintained as trails moving forward, including the disturbance of area if that's being utilized as well. So I'm going to go to the detail. And let me know if you want me to zoom in onto any of this, but this is basically that area that was outlined as purple as that phase 1. So what we were looking to incorporate as a part of phase 1 was the site access, parking, as well as a little overflow parking, the pump track being a priority, as well as a smaller pump track for kids and skill area, and then some portion of the trail network that can go back into the woods and has some skill features as well. If we want to go over what these look like more specifically, we do have little videos that we can play, that I can play after this as well. But for the most part, for the site design, would be having a gravel parking area that could accommodate up to 10 spaces with a few more spaces for overflow. You come into the site for what would be like your central gathering area. I know we have this labeled as a potential shade structure for phase 2, but we're planning for if you do want one in the future where it could go, and maintenance shed for some material that would be needed for upkeep for this. But having like a central location where people can watch the pump track or connect and watch to the kids area and gather will really help create that community, that biking community area that would help draw this together. The main feature over here is the pump track. It's about 10,000 square feet, and these gray tracks here, we did have this in a little more detail for elevations and things like that, are the loops, or kind of like the rolling trails that you could come through that has a few different options for how you could turn, or a few different paths that you could take on this. This has an area that people where they drop in to the pump track, but then also its connection to the community space and some seating makes it good for viewing, even if you aren't a biker, to be able to kind of be a part of the activity that's happening here as well.
And the image in the upper right is an example of what that pump track, you know, what a pump track looks like.
Yeah, what a pump track could look like. And then right below it is the kids pump track area where it's a lot smaller. It would have very small mounds, but it's really for learning, along with a skills area for learning as well. And then the space in the back, so where there's all these trails going through, is trails that would go into kind of the existing vegetation and trees and utilize a little bit of topography, but building some more topography and built features like these wooden berms and wooden boardwalk areas to create different routes. So green generally representing an easier kind of a route with some hills and built features, yellow more intermediate, and orange a little bit more advanced. An important component that we got to here is this purple dashed line. That generally circles the kids and adult pump track area and then goes into the woods trail as well. This is the area that we were proposing that as it moves into construction would be more of a design build project, so that we're defining what we want to be including here, like how much area for pump track or how much you are expecting to be spending on each of these items, but that the level of design for these would kind of be taken to this level. We would pull out the pieces we want to make sure are included in this or aren't included or things like that. And that, but that this would be more of a design build portion of the park, and then more of the infrastructure. So maybe some of the seating, parking access, stormwater management, things like that would be more of your regular built out plans. Another component to this is that we are showing a connection down to the existing bus stop, including the crossing for the road as well. That connects all the way out to the existing trail network. This is more of like the more of an accessible path that has a few benches that could look at some of the people out on the biking trails, but creates that connection all the way through the site and then out to the network. I can get into more details on the features, or I'm happy to go over.
I probably would just see if there's any questions on the concept.
Can I just, Ellen, do you mind explaining the attribute of having the milestone versus we discussed this in our meeting last week, the milestone curb cut entrance as opposed to the long drive down Garner Valley, so that Neil can and others can maybe say that as an option?
Yeah, so the two are the big differences between them is so connecting down to Barnard Valley Road, definitely more disturbance. Maybe this one will help a little bit more, because it's obviously it's quite a distance that we have to span for that, which includes clearing, material, things like that. And then there will also need to be expansion and improvement for the section of Barnard Valley Road. And even though it's an existing cut, this is likely going to have to be reoriented at least a little bit and opened up further to make sure that has good sight lines, especially if there's more people that are going to be using this as well. So improvements to the road here, likely having to change how this road angles in and connects to Milestone Road for that. For connecting directly out, it does create one less disturbance for that. It does have an additional curb cut, but you are also able to see directly into the site if you needed to see to the parking lot, or if you needed quick access to the parking lot or anything like that. So I know part of the reason for moving all this forward was safety. If like people would be using it for things you didn't want them to exactly. So having that access where you could at least see a portion of it or be able to access it really quickly would be beneficial for those things as well.
Yeah, and it's also a very tight turning radius, if you see now, because we have to do almost a switchback to bring the vehicles back to the opposite corner. So that presents a challenge as well. Obviously, if we could use Barnard and we didn't have this issue with natural heritage, it makes it a little easier. So we were just thinking from a cost standpoint that you're reducing some.
I think we have some questions, Brian. Thank you. I think we get the point, but I think there's a couple of commissioners that have some comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one. The entrance there on the lower left-hand side, that's a road that's been there for years. And, you know, it already, goes into that area. In fact, that road goes all the way out and connects to a whole bunch of land bank property out there. I used to mow those trails years ago. And, it would seem as though that would be a much more logical entrance point to the whole property because it already exists there.
You said bottom left? You talking about here?
Yes, yeah, right there where you have your,
That's a new trail.
that's not a new one, that's,
Barnard Trail, the one that you're talking about, is that one.
no. And I know where that is. This is the one with the big puddle every year.
That's right there.
That's right here.
Barnard.
No, the puddle one's before that, I think.
No, this is the Barnard is the puddle.
Barnard, are you sure?
No.
I thought Barnard is opposite Russell's Way. This is what we're talking about, or we're talking.
That's their parallel Small Stone Road.
Whatever you want to call it, this one right here is the one in the design with the giant puddle.
Okay.
This guy?
That's the one I was.
If you guys flip back to the plan, that road that they're showing is this right here.
But
that's-
Even.
See the puddle? You can see.
That's the puddle there.
Well, then,
Well, still, I'm all in favor of using what's existing, and I'm not particularly concerned if the trail's long. But just adding another road on Milestone is, yeah.
Can I say something? Due to regulations, that road would have to be changed because you have to come directly in. That's why Pulvis Road has been changed.
Right.
So that Puddle Road would have to be changed. And for me, our whole big thing about this was we didn't want it remote. And that's why we had it up in the middle of the disturbed area because we didn't want it like just where people could go and hang out.
Right.
And I feel if you put another road where you have to go in, turn in, and it's a remote on this side, it doesn't make any difference whether it's 100 feet in going west or 100 feet in going north. You still have the same problem. You still have the same problem of being completely remote if you drive 100 feet left or 100 feet straight up. So I think we've lost the whole concept of it being close to Milestone and accessible and being able to see in so that you can drive by and say, wait a second, there's 5 cars in there, creating trouble. That's what the whole point of bringing it down to the road.
I see your point.
And so I'm kind of trying to also address when Mark, you said, oh, you want it screened. I thought the whole point of bringing it closer was so that it did have some visibility to Milestone so that the cops could go by and be like, yeah, wait a second, maybe I should pull in there. If it goes in Barnard just because that road exists and you go 100 feet left, the cops aren't gonna go in there and see it.
and I stand corrected, we did say that was a concern earlier.
And it's less expensive.
A lot less expensive, I was just gonna say.
A lot less hassle.
Now, this is because of natural heritage. Okay, so this isn't because we had said, come in, as you guys are all talking, come into Barnard and have it right there. But due to permitting, we have to pivot.
It's ironic when you look at the Serengeti, which was covered in totally 1,000 acres of scrub oaks that was just cut down
For mitigation.
for mitigation.
For the
That's
barrier.
That's okay there.
Here's your question, ready? Scrub oak exists on 60 years, it's actually not 60 to 70% of the island, but scrub oak exists in mass on Nantucket. It exists nowhere else in mass. So if you go over to the Cape, what you will see is that they're actually trying to preserve scrub oak habitat like we try to preserve grasslands here. So that's the difference.
Noted.
They're crazy over there. No accounting for those people.
So, sorry to hijack your presentation, but I think it was important to get clarity on.
It was very important, I stand corrected, and so is that Milestone, the one that is now we're in favor of, is that gonna be a problem connecting to a major State highway?
I haven't called into,
Like Burns.
Rachel asked me to contact him. I had
So
number
is
back.
this a new curb cut?
Yeah, so I emailed him the whole breakdown of the situation and the two options and why we think it might be preferable to do this new curb cut as opposed to Barnard Valley, having to do with disturbance and sightlines and so forth. So I have not heard back from him, but I know he got the email because I do read receipts. So hopefully I'll be hearing from him soon.
We don't have a curb cut at all on that lot. So we should be allowed one, right?
We should be.
And just because it's a state highway that it's tricky.
So will this involve,
We should definitely be allowed one to just, it could be some extra level of permitting to do it.
this won't involve the level of engineering that the Popus Road intersection?
No, of course they wouldn't.
But the reason why that was all done is because it was
Yeah.
coming in at an angle onto a state road, which is not allowed. So if you do anything to that puddle road, it's gonna have to come in
Right.
90 degrees.
And we're only talking about phase one here, that's what we budgeted for.
Yep.
I'm good with
Do
this.
you, does that make clear? Okay.
Okay, I don't know if we need.
Okay, so turning it back over, maybe we can get into the pricing. I think we're clear on the design.
Okay, great. So we put together a preliminary opinion of probable cost for this that kind of just breaks down the elements, including the site prep, clearing, parking infrastructure, site elements like bike
Ellen,
racks,
could you
welcome
just,
signs.
Ellen, could you just blow it up a little bit and could you focus maybe on the summary? Just, you don't need to read through
The
everything.
bottom line.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Final price.
Brian,
Final-
you worked with us long enough.
I know. She wants the final price.
Final price, we were coming in about 2,400,000 after contingency and escalation factors because we're still using MassDOT prices for this. We include a high and low range. I believe during the last meeting, everyone had mentioned wanting to stay under the 2 million for the first phase. So we put together a reduced cost estimate, which took some of the items out, which I could flip to that in a minute as well. That brings the costs under 2 million. What that means for the design, if we're bringing it under that, is to get your initial site access, your pump track, since it's a main feature, as well as the one for the kids, and a few trails into the woods. But we'd have to be more selective about what skill level or things that you would want to be including on that if we wanted to try and keep this first phase under that amount as well. So I could go back. Well, this one, or the one without being reduced, is generally everything that's in that first phase or of the concept for this one.
I'm confused. This is all in, this is constructed?
These are the construction costs.
Okay.
So yes, our understanding was that the commission's desire at the last meeting was to keep the budget for construction costs under $2 million. So when we originally looked at this design and we had all the different trails, you know, she said the green trail, the orange trail, the different levels, that those were the types of things that we brought us to the $2.3 million price. In an effort to be responsive to the commission's desire to stay under $2 million, Alan and Brian took a look at what that design would look like, which is what you're looking at here. So if you remove those additional trails that are faded, right, you get down to 1.8. So the question, one of the questions for the commission tonight is, you know, do you want to move forward with the 1.8, which is the reduced cost, staying under 2 million, or are you interested in the design that was vetted to be approximately 2.3? So I think that's.
I have a question.
Given advice to stay under 2 million or something.
I have a question for you, Brian and Ellen. What is the cost difference with getting there from Barnard Road versus going into Milestone?
All of the costs these are based on Barnard Valley Road right now. It's not that substantial is what I would say the difference is we were coming up with. It does make a difference. I don't have it on top of my head right here. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a significant savings. There would be savings though. The one other thing too, I just want to remind everyone on a couple things here. We're working at a very high concept right now. We're carrying a 30% contingency. That is not a contractor contingency. That is a contingency because we're at a very high level of design. So that number would go down. Now, having said that, as we advance design, some of the other numbers may go up. So we think that's, it's a pretty comfortable number. The other thing I just want to point out too, because as Ellen explained earlier, we're proposing that the bike park piece be bid as like a design build. We don't need to get, I think we can still work within the $2 million range, and ultimately we'll have a good number for what the infrastructure and the parking lot and the hard elements and the hard engineering elements would cost. But then we can give, and this is how, and we did have conversations with a few other municipalities that have built these parks, that we could go in and give them a number that they have to design to for those built features. And the reason why we'd give them a high level concept design is because of the permitting phase, because we need to make sure that we're comfortable whatever we're proposing. Everyone's it's permittable. But as we've gone through this process a little more, including discussions with our other design team members, there's a level of creativity that occurs during the construction process for these bike parks that we wanted to be able to build that in. So I think, long story short, I don't think we have to say, okay, eliminate these elements right now, because I think we can kind of put that into the bid. And if you don't have the money for it, you don't get all of those elements. But then we could put what are the priority elements, almost like an add alternate or a deduct in a bid. So
Can I interrupt you for 1 second and just
Sure.
explain? So I think one thing that what he's talking about, this design build concept, is different than what we usually do. Okay, usually we design something and then we put it out to bid and we build it. This would actually be having some level of design while you're building. So you'd be able to make alterations, which is why he's describing the cost as such, right? There'll be some level of interpretation during the process. So they're much more
only on the trail system.
The trail system and the pump track.
Okay,
But all of the parking lot, the road connections, any of the like what you would consider to be infrastructure would be taken to 100% bid documents. The other elements would be labeled as design build, again, giving them a detailed concept, and then we'd say, these are the elements we'd want. And then as they're designing it, and we could even ask as part of that bid that they could provide sort of what they think they could provide for a number. So it'd be a little different, that we would give them a build out number for what we have left out of the $2 million for the bike park. We would estimate parking lot, all of the infrastructure. And the other advantage to that is it allows you to have a local contractor, a site contractor, bid the project and then team with the design build firm, so we get the right firm in here to do the bike park. The other concern we had is that if we go full construction, and again, this we've discussed with others that do this work or have built these, that if we go full construction drawings, we could get somebody coming in at a low bid or someone who really doesn't do this, but because we give them enough detail, they feel comfortable coming in and putting in a price. Where if we go the design build, we would then require that whoever is bidding this project to have someone on that team that can demonstrate they've done these types of projects. And I think from a budget standpoint, it gives us some flexibility. If we give them, say we have, $1.7 or $1.5 million for the bike park, if we estimate 500,000 or whatever the parking lot cost may be, then, so what I don't want to do is say, all right, eliminate these elements, and then you go out and put it to bid, and then you actually had the money to maybe do a little more.
Okay, what questions does the board have?
But I think eliminating that long driveway is gonna save them quite a bit of money in infrastructure. There's a help there.
Save a lot of headaches too, by the looks of it. The only question I had is, we're talking all in, right? This is built and done?
Under two.
These numbers that I'm looking at, this is all
So,
in?
so for point of
phase
clarification,
one.
these are construction costs. Do they include? They don't include,
Well, like Horsley Witten's time, they don't include.
Yeah.
Their time.
So
Or
that's more
permitting
than-
costs or, you know, finishing that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
This is
that's a
about-
good question. That doesn't include our existing contract.
Which is,
Yeah.
do you
I don't remember.
remember
Yeah.
what your existing contract is, Brian?
I should know that, shouldn't I? I want to say it was 100 and I can look it up in 1 second here.
What I can tell you is that like about 3 times as many hours as they probably.
Okay, but it's around 100.
Wanted to say it was 169 or whatever.
Oh.
But
I was gonna say it's more than that. I want to say it was like 180, but let me, I can pull this up while you keep discussing.
197.6.
197.6.
So
Yeah.
it's 200 in design costs, there will be permitting costs. But this is when it goes and RFP costs, or is there other costs, or that's part of the construction costs?
The design bill will be the procurement process.
Procurement process,
So they'll help with that. I'll help with that.
If we end up having any sort of oversight for project manager from Horsley Witten, that would be an additional cost. It's not reflected.
I actually think we have some in our contract.
Okay.
Yep.
What's the flavor of the board as far as the 1.8 versus the 2.3?
If I'm correct, you gave us a reason to stay under 2 million. Did you not make some suggestion of
That was
that?
the commission that, with that number.
Yeah.
Oh, we did that?
Yeah.
Yes, it
was
was
never
you.
comfortable under that.
Okay.
I think it's just good to, these are examples, like they said, there's no fixed, X number of dollars is gonna get rid of this trail or include that trail, but it just gives you an example of kind of a range and sort of what you might get for it.
Can I ask one question? One thing you said, Brian, that got my attention was that the way this is good, this is not the way we normally do it. That you would get someone to come in and they would do it for a price, but they might have a little bit of extra money. I would imagine you'd be getting references from these people who would be bidding that have some experience in doing pump tracks and things like this.
That's absolutely right. And we have some people in mind that we would make sure that they're aware that this is going out to bid, but that would be part of the bid documents. We'd have qualifications for the design build portion. So the way we envision it, it'd be a GC bidding the project because there is, just general earthwork and building parking lots and things like that, that someone who builds bike parks wouldn't necessarily be experienced with. And then they would bring in as their sub-consultant, the design build that would come in and do the actual bike park. Similar to like when you build a housing project or whatever it may be, someone comes in and builds the septic, right? It's not usually the GC.
So that would be part of the bid.
That's correct.
A track record of having done a few of these things.
Yes.
There are also companies, Brian, that have all under one roof, in-house. That do the construction and then have the design team in-house.
They do, yeah. But the one advantage, we could go either way, but you could get somebody locally maybe to do the general earthwork and then partner up with somebody. But yeah, there are larger firms that would probably do it all.
I would just like to add, I'd like to see in the bids that preference would be given to local contractors bidding, because this is money generated here.
Can't do that.
It would be, was it?
Can't do that.
Can't do that?
But we can entertain local.
Oh, yeah,
they can bid on it.
Of course, I mean,
Yeah.
So, are there questions on the process? And then what's the feeling of the cost? Any more questions?
I don't know the process. Keep it under 2 million.
I mean, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they came in and what we had discussed previously, keeping it under 2 million,
And that includes their 200 grand.
Well, the real estate comes at 1.8.
does not include that, but that's.
So if it comes in under 1.8 and they're 200, we're at 2 million.
But we're not gonna stay, I mean, there's always something else. If our price is 1.8 and our contingent. Can you bring up the lower price for us, Ellen, please? Yeah, so there's a 30% contingency in there. So there's, and the high, going to the high is 2.1. So yes, it's staying, you know, there's some room in there for all the additional costs. And the nice thing about it is during the design build, if they have extra money, they can do more. Or if we really love halfway through construction, like we've gotten the infrastructure and we are getting a lot of support, we want to spend more, we can. But it's all permitted.
I mean, they've answered my questions. I'm comfortable with this.
Go for it.
Okay, so with construction costs under $2 million, same as before, that being the goal, so we'll move forward. All right.
Can we?
Yes, we have a please. make a
Right.
motion.
And
Hold on, Brian, you're about to get your positive vote, and I second that.
Okay, Brian, did you have a comment?
I was just gonna clarify, we have about $35,000 in that 197 that's construction oversight.
Okay,
Oh,
That
good.
makes me feel much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you, Ellen, appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, Cathcart, Cedar Camp.
Okay, we are going to work on picking up the pace for a little bit here. So
Yes.
bear with me. If you have concerns.
1.2 feet, please.
Yeah, if you have concerns, shout out, raise your hand, please let me know. Emily, can I take this quickly? Thank you. Okay, so Emily is actually here to present the Cedar Camp Cathcart Beach request for the sponsorship of the Owl Box. But I'm gonna just run through this really quickly. We have an Owl Box at the skating, what's referred to as a skating pond property right over off New Lane. And the way these work is it's a collaboration with Mariah Mitchell, and someone says, may I please pay Mariah Mitchell to monitor this? They installed, in collaboration with Land Bank, they installed the Barn Owl Box, and we host it on our property. This has been requested, and Emily vetted it with Ginger Andrews and a couple other people. I believe the person who wants to do the donation is Ms. Gretzky. I might have mispronounced that. And we're looking for approval from the commission to install an Barn Owl Box at Cedar Camp.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Third.
All those in favor? Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
sorry, Emily, terribly, I'm sorry. Okay, so next is East Creek, 1619 East Creek. And this, we went over at the last meeting, but we brought it back because Neil was not able to be here and we wanted to have full commission discussion, so. Let's see.
So I did ask Neil to review this, which he did.
Mhm.
So I think we can jump instead of going over everything
Yeah,
again. We
I'm-
can jump in.
We're not going over everything again.
Wonderful.
I religiously watched the video. The audio was very good.
Excellent.
There's 2 points I'd like to make. One, to thank the commission for holding this over. Two, I asked the staff to reduce this cost dramatically. I wouldn't say dramatically is what it is, but they definitely put a lot of time and effort into it, and for that, I'm exceptionally grateful. I'm in favor of going forward to the first phase. I still have serious reservations about this project. I believe you might have said that no one's gonna find it. I think, we're doing a lot of projects. We just spent $2 million there. It's another. And with the longevity of our island home, you know, it makes me, you know, I'd love to put that walkway in, and hopefully we will get something done before then. But anyway, I'm going to support going forward to save you all more time.
I would just like to ask for clarification. So with approval of everything that we see, it means that we would permit everything that was on the plan, but we still have the option when it comes to construction to reduce the parking lot, reduce the walkway, reduce the vegetation. And we will still have an opportunity to vote yay or nay on those. And including, we're gonna permit it, but the one was that we're gonna permit it with the full size deck. That's the one, that was the one that can't change. So I think that everybody needs to understand that by voting a yes on this, it is going to go permitted as a full size deck.
Is this the split level deck?
Yes,
So, and it'll be ADA compliant?
yes.
Yep.
So am I correct on all that?
You are
Does
completely
it-
In
accurate.
other words, it's gonna come back before, we're voting on permitting.
Yes.
Because I'm still waiting for the town to decide what they're gonna do there, and they may change our mind for us. Hey, we don't want that deck there, we don't want anything, we want the whole piece of property. So anyway, I'm happy voting for this.
Again, these are construction costs,
Yes.
not design costs,
Not design.
not
costs.
permitting costs.
Yeah.
So when do we
So-
get to see design and permitting costs?
This right down here actually is the design, permitting and construction administration in this one. So there is some increase in here. I would want to discuss with Todd Turcott exactly how that breaks out. So just to make sure, but yes, I mean, basically this would allow us to permit, just to reiterate what Christina said, this would allow us to permit the design, the conceptual design as it stands. The decking is the most challenging to move because those, that will have pylons associated with it, and that really matters for permitting. But the rest of it can all be discussed at a later time. Again, the goal is to get the permit in order to be able to deconstruct the house. We'll have a clean site and we'll be able to pause for a second and say, okay, what's the right thing to do next?
Client Sport Drive's 25% increase.
3 years.
Hmm?
It's 3-year difference.
It's a 3-year
Oh,
difference.
it's
So
a
this
3-year
is,
difference.
so
So
this
it's,
is 2023, 2026.
okay. So in
this is
3 years,
just
it's
costs.
$820,000 more.
No, it's 200,000.
602.
So, sorry, I'm just looking at the line. I'm
Versus
stuck on the
820.
large
So it's-
number.
So it
Okay.
was 20% design, now it's 25.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we are committing to spending $820,000, but that would be through construction too,
Mhm.
administration.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay.
I make a motion, go forward.
Okay.
We have a second. Any more discussion?
Nobody's gonna go there.
It's gonna be a great property. Wait till you see it. It's gonna be
I
tons of
just
people.
don't trust what the towns.
It's the only place in town where you also, you know,
Okay, any more discussion? And we can go ahead and vote, and anybody that wants to vote no, can vote no. All those in favor? Aye.
No.
No.
Okay, thank you very much.
I voted aye.
Well, you
I
said,
didn't hear you about
yeah, there's nowhere else you can get that close. Just right down the road, we have a place where you can get that close.
Okay, so the next couple of things are very quick updates. 22 Massasoit Bridge Road. We are in the process of doing some exploration test pits to determine where a IA septic would be located and, you know, what makes sense, because we can't get a cost without figuring out a little bit more about the site. So that's actually going to be step one, and then we'll come back with a cost after that. I just wanted to update the commission on that, just to give you the next step.
Okay.
Okay, next thing is property management, and this is this was actually supposed to be, this is fun. And we call this, Jeff's top five, but Jeff and Susan worked on this together.
Yeah.
I know I have to get below. Yep. Jeff and Susan worked on this together. So what this is, let's make sure I've got everything here. Moved around. Okay, so what we have here is basically a pie chart showing how property management and natural resources or environmental are spending money on operating. One of the interesting things about this is that basically when you do the math on this, we're spending about $2.5 million on operating, basically on property management alone, right? So that's definitely a pretty.
Salaries included,
Yes.
all that, everything, yeah.
Yep, so every year we're spending about
Not
$2.5 million. The way they broke it out is into the 5 top categories, which are forest management, habitat management, mitigation management, structures and facilities and housing, property cyclical maintenance, that's like mowing lawns, right? And the other thing that was pretty interesting about this is they're all quite consistent, with property cyclical maintenance being probably the one that everyone sees the most, right? You know, your parks are neat, they're tidy, they're clean. Those are the things that we see the most of, you know, coming in at the top, for about $660,000. So this was just information that we wanted to share with the commission and the public, because that's one of the things we get a lot of compliments on is how the land bank properties look. So
It's good to know, I mean, information to share.
Mitigation seems high.
we do a lot of it. And again, it's one of those understated things that we don't talk about, but we do actually spend a lot of money for environmental permitting, both for the land bank and for the town to comply with environmental permits.
So that's not actual moving plants. Mitigation.
Some of it was moving plants, but a lot of it is mowing, or some of it's invasive species management. Mostly it's, you know, sometimes it's creating scrub oak habitat, sometimes it's removing pine trees. It depends on the type of habitat and the species that you're managing for.
So invasive species management comes under mitigation?
Yeah, it's probably under habitat management more so, but we do have some areas where we do some invasive species work for mitigation.
Okay, well, this is informative.
Very helpful.
All right, so that is that. I'm gonna close out of a few of these things. Okay, and moving right along, we have no update this week on long-range objectives from the advisory committee, hopefully at the next meeting. And we already going on to regular business. See how fast this is going?
Glacial pace.
The town of Nantucket master plan update, we already heard that. I would like to provide a quick update from the Land Bank Housing Committee. We have been meeting or attempting to meet quarterly, and we came up with some interesting numbers, which I think I sent to everyone. But I thought they'd be great to share. And so the land bank actually has quite a bit of housing right now. We have approximately, well, it's not approximately, it's exactly 27 year-round people that we're housing, and 6 seasonal, and about 14 different buildings. 5 of those are actually Jefferson units, so 10 separate buildings, right? Right now, we currently have 3 empty units, which are all going to be either under construction or for some reason are uninhabitable at the moment. And so those are all going to be changing over the course of the next year into habitable units. Gulf has 20 year-round, houses 20 year-round people and 24 seasonals in 7 buildings. The bulk of the seasonals are, of course, in the Myconic dorm. And so I think one of the things that's interesting is that with that number of tenants, almost 50 year-round people and, about 50 seasonals, it's just amazing how important the housing committee is and, that we're really being tight with our policies and aware of our leases and our licenses and trying to be consistent across the board. So I just thought that was interesting. It requires a lot of effort to house that many people, and so staff do a lot of work in this regard.
You'll also notice that in that pie chart we just saw, 480,000 is structures.
And facilities, which includes housing. So, yep. We are in fact landlords. And so I think that's another thing that just kind of goes unsaid a lot of times. We also house some town employees in those buildings. So it's, something that we don't talk about very often. Okay, next is the appointment of the evaluation committee of the RFQ for the owner's project manager for buildings move off for 41 Jefferson Ave. And basically what this is Eleanor has also nicely put out a request for quotes for an owner's, qualifications for owner's project manager to oversee the move of the 41 Jefferson Ave buildings.
Oversee the whole process.
Yeah. The reason that we have to do that is because of the cost of the process. So basically, once you tip into that cost of procurement, you need to actually get an owner's project manager, which is what we've also done. That's what ACG is for our maintenance facility and 166 Hunnock Pond Road improvements. So we're doing the same process here in order to move these buildings.
It's only required for vertical construction, so not public works type, but in this instance, it's definitely required.
And so we need one commission member. Last time it was Neil to sit on that committee when we're evaluating the different groups that submit bids.
I'm not gonna hog the fun, I'm gonna let someone else do it this time.
What's it involve?
You've done it before, like the bike park, you were on that evaluation committee for that RFQ. That was different because we were seeking a designer, but it's similar.
You were really good at it.
You have to review a series of bid documents, and Eleanor actually makes it really easy. So she breaks it all down and basically provides all the information, comparing all the different people that bid on it. And then we meet once to discuss it and vote and move forward.
You really work. No,
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
Oh,
If it's before, it will be end before Christmas.
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh, good. For Thanksgiving. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll do it.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Yes, we need a vote on that.
Make a motion.
To-
Put you on the committee.
Appoint Neil to the evaluation committee.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
So I
Thank
vote for
you.
myself. Yeah,
Yeah, you.
thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Next is the financial business, moving on to fiscal year 2026 operating capital budgets. Again, this is similar to 16 and 19 East Creek, where we held this over in an effort to make sure we had a full commission to discuss and vote upon it.
And I did email those couple questions that
Yep.
about those two.
Again, I came in and talked to Susan and the questions I have were very nicely answered. And so I'm going to support this 100%. In fact, I go to make a motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That on the capital as well, you said operating.
We said operating, can we
Yeah.
also capital?
Okay, appointment committee for executive director's annual review. Sorry, guys, I messed up on this, so we're gonna figure out, we'll take one. So we're gonna have to, I'd like to put together a committee of, I would prefer myself, but if everybody's interested, we can divvy it up. But I'd like to be involved and one other, commissioner to do the committee. I missed on the top afterwards. Yeah, you wanna, you'll do it.
So you're asking
You
for
to
people to
be,
be on the committee?
yes,
Be happy to be on the committee.
If you do two, that's fine.
yeah, I think it has to be two, right? Susan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we've done in the past.
Okay,
Unless anyone else wants to step
Any
up, I'm
interest?
happy to do it.
okay, so looking for a motion Or,
A motion to approve.
Second.
so,
Chair and vice chair as evaluation committee.
thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Transfer business. Okay.
Oh.
That goes into the next page. So, we have one release of lien for somebody to finish their exemption, so I need 2 signatures each.
Looking for a motion to approve the transfers.
Motion made.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I have 2 other items that are a little bit different. So, Elvis Butler has an O exemption, to build a house. He asked for an extension last year. Checked in with him. He got the extension because he was having trouble getting the financing. He's just wrapping that up and he expects to commence building in 60 days. So, he's asking for another year to get the house built.
So
We
you-
recommend it.
Is that a vote?
I was just moved to, sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's fine.
All those in favor to extend the, for the Butler, Sir, Mr. Butler?
Aye.
All those in favor?
And then the other one we have, is on 7 White Street, which you heard about last time. This is a little bit different though.
Yeah.
So, when we put on the lien for the last lien, we suspected, we had put it, that was for 84 Cliff Road, or Cliff LLC, put it on White Street, because there was involvement in that. That got the attention, we suspected maybe something happened underneath the ownership at 7 White Street. It got the attention of the majority owner of 7 White that bought into it, that we did not know about. And we are working, Valerie is working with his attorney and him. He wants to clean it up, he wants to sell it and be able to regain some of the money that we lost on this project. But while we're working out those details, Valerie suggests we put a lien on the property, just because the liens might be adding up for the other guys. So there is penalty and interest, but no fraud penalty on this. And, so it's a notice of assessment for a total of $84,000 in change. That would be almost $59,000 in fee and then interest and penalty. And again, the numbers might change slightly, but they did give us some numbers and they seem like the right numbers. So we're asking for a vote, the notice of assessment and a lien in the amount of $84,535.34 unsubordinated, and we'll work out the details on this. So
I'll second it. Sorry, no.
that needs 1 signature on the lien.
Any questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
You do know how to get someone's
Motion to
attention.
accept the minutes.
We have a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And then are we on to consent items? Do we have any questions or a motion to accept the consent items?
Motion to accept consent items.
Second? All those in favor? Aye. So that brings us to, we're entering an executive session for the following purposes. Purpose 7, to approve the executive session minutes. Purpose 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, and value of real property. Discussions in open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the land bank. And we will not be reconvening in executive session. I have a motion to go into
So
executive.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sign those.
Sign. Okay.